Hello, this is Dave White from Sportsman's Emporium, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about, target practicing and shooting your bow coming into hunting season, and a few tips that can help you become a better shooter in a hunting situation. Obviously we all shoot our bows, we sight our bows in at 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards. But when a deer is approaching us in the woods, we don't really know the distance without having a rangefinder. There's a lot of people that don't have rangefinders, the digital rangefinders. They're pretty expensive. Well, the thing is before those days, like when I was growing up as a kid, we used to practice shooting in different ways at our targets, and I think some people have gotten away from that. And I can't stress enough that judging yardage and shooting is the most important thing to being a good shot in the woods, which can mean the difference between an efficient harvest on a deer or wounding one, which no one wants to do. That's tragic. So what you want to do is give yourself the best chance at hitting that deer. So you have to practice right. Practicing at 10 and 20 yards is not usually good enough. You have to start to expand your little repertoire of shots. And so there's a lot of things you can do in your backyard at home that can help you. And one is really just picking random spots to shoot at your target from. Don't shoot right at your 20-yard mark, straight in front of the target. One of the things that we used to do when I was a kid is we would take little stones and we would stand way back on our little backyard archery range and we'd just toss those stones up in the air. And sometimes you'd throw them far, sometimes you wouldn't throw them as far, but the point is wherever they stopped, you had to shoot from and judge your yardage and compensate for your angle. And that helped me so much being a good shot and good at judging yardage. I got really good at guessing how far I was away with something because I practiced it a lot. So really, most people go in the 10-yard increments. You shoot 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. But leading into bow season, I encourage you to try some different stuff. If you have a 3D deer target, that's even better because you can practice angle shots on the body of a deer, which is great. But even without that, with a little block target, I have what's called a block target, and a lot of people have heard of them. What I like about it is you can shoot all sides of that target. So I can literally take that thing and toss it as far as I can out my yard, and wherever my target stops, I shoot it. And that has been a really great way for me to practice. Another thing that I like to do when I'm practicing for hunting season, and some of you have probably heard this, is shoot from different angles of your body. Shoot from setting down. Shoot like you're kneeling on your knees and you're kind of shooting backwards. Don't just shoot straight on with the perfect bow form. If you're shooting tournaments, your shooting form matters a lot. But in a hunting situation, as long as you get the basic anchor form, you're fine. But in a hunting situation, you don't always have the luxury of standing there shoulder width apart with your feet and standing straight up vertical and getting that shot. A lot of times you're on a tiny little stool 20 feet up in the tree, and your shot is at a different angle than what you have prepared for. So really, to be a good hunter and to learn how to close the deal, getting close to the deer is not enough. You have to be good at shooting them. And I encourage people to try different things in their backyard. Like I say, throw the stone. If you don't have a target that you can toss like my target, you can throw the stones. Another thing we used to do is we would take an arrow and just throw it, and wherever that arrow stuck in the ground, we would shoot from. But I encourage you to try different yardages, different angles, and learn how to guess your yardages. Shoot in between the 10-yard marks. Shoot in between where your pins are sighted in for, because in the woods, more than likely, when you get a shot at a deer, that's how it's going to be. It's not going to be right at 30 yards. It might be at 27 yards. It might be at 34 yards. And we all know as trajectory starts to kick in our arrow, every yard counts. Every yard can be a different place on that deer that you could hit. So if you get good at judging distance, you will get good at hunting, definitely.